Aloha there, and we're going to talk about Duke Nukem. It's been a while since I learned a bunch about Duke Nukem, but yeah, especially playing, what was it, 3D. Got it over Steam and then played it in my own time, but it's been a while, so that's pretty much what it is. There's no latest games, however, that's why I'm reading this article here. So, from Waypoint Games by Vice. I'm just always just wonder why they just call it Waypoint Games or just Games Point or something with games, because Waypoint I don't have no idea what it is. Yeah, I thought that would be a travel blog under Vice, but eh. So under Waypoint Games by Vice, there's an article. Why do people still care about Duke Nukem Forever so much? Now, the thing about Duke Nukem Forever is that's referring to a specific game, especially the latest games. Not sure if they're referring to Duke Nukem as a character or the game Duke Nukem Forever. The original game that was supposed to release years ago, years ago, until it went to development hell because feature creep gets the better to people. So anywho, this is from our good man Patrick Kilpick. So, the game was announced in 1997 but didn't ship until 2011 and sucked. A generation of gamers still latch onto a mythical unreleased version of Duke. So, they are referring to the actual original type game because what's so interesting, and yeah, I'm gonna deviate now towards showing video. Because, yeah, Duke Nukem was supposed to be released in this way, similar to 3D. And, yeah, they released a trailer for it. So, Duke Nukem trailer for Epic Trailers. You know what? This video is actually 10 years. So I don't feel that guilty showing it. But yeah.
There's only two ways this can end, and in both of them, you die. So, who wants to dance?
This was around 10 years ago, so yeah. Trailers back from 1997 and 2011. And the first trailer, gameplay trailer, does show really good gameplay similar to 3D and Doom style games that I think that's what they're referring to. So I'll sit back and see. Didn't trap. Real deal. No question. Bet on Duke.
I was born to rock the world.
Oh yeah, the glorious 44p.
I make this look good.
Like you said, I'm just smiling because, man, I do want to see that. Want to make sure that it doesn't go through. Huh. This is also a bit confusing, the fact that there's just so many uh, titles. It feels like it's just a series of trailers just montaged together to be one trailer just because they know that everything they collected is just too short, so they gotta combine everything. So it's a bit long. But also, it's just different. The fact that they're actually showing real gameplay and not a cinematic tease or anything like that is way different. It's not that bombast. However, I could see what the game is and how it's going to be played.
Ooh, that's what I call a close encounter.
Are those Amazonian enemies? Amazonian chicks in the strip trying to fight as enemies. I believe that the first, and then there's also that scene and a turret section, which yeah, that's very similar to the latest Duke Nukem Forever game, which yeah came out around 2011. Those obstacles and stuff like that. I just want to make sure hold up together. PC CD-ROM, back when they used to have CDs, RP, well, we already know it's gonna be a shirt. They freaking sold a strip club. Anyway. But anywho, what is it? The one they're gonna show next is 99.9. Oh yeah, there's this one too. Which, that's why I saw. This part I only saw like a little bit of it. So, this was a few years from Duke Nukem 3D. And yeah, it pretty much has its GoldenEye inspiration and stuff like that. And also, turret scenes that looks very similar to Half-Life, the original Half-Life game. And yeah, you could zoom over, you can feel a different variety of enemies, however, there's different encounters, different characters, they have that blocky feeling like GoldenEye. So that is one part. But the one I was actually referring to, and I believe a lot of people want this version of Forever, is the 1999 version that was released in the public.
It's a good day to die.
Douglas Wayne Myers Jr. I wonder if he is also a person who contributed a lot to this. It shows things. But yeah, Duke Nukem 10th anniversary. This was back in 99, so 89. 96, that's 3D. So when you think about it, the other one that came out in 97 and 98 was around like a year or two build. So that's when so it was supposed to come on right after Duke Nukem 3D. But funny enough, Half-Life came around like 97. Which is fired. Anywho. Man.
There's no place to hide. Please help us.
Man, this thing is really pissed off.
We're all gonna die.
Okay, now that's the enemy. That is the scary enemy.
The situation has deteriorated. It appears they have the president. The Earth Defense Force has been compromised, and I'm afraid you can't trust anyone.
Hey, pal, what are you gonna do? Save the world all by yourself?
Well, he did it in 3D, so might as well do it in the next game. Terminator. The fuck? And that's where the original logo title comes from. Where in the latest game in 2011, it was exactly like that. You are wearing glasses, rancher dude, and you are in a weird, strange farm. So that's what you say. Also, when it's done, yeah, well, they literally put that in the sticker of the game. The sticker, the box sticker of the game. And yeah, this was also came around the time when it should be on CDs. It actually came out in CDs because back in 2011, there were still plenty of PC games. Well, there's still some PC games now that have their own CD version, but it did. But yeah, is this what this version they're referring to? Where there's just tons and tons of things, tons of storyline, because compared to the original where there's lots of vignettes and the obstacles look very similar, this shows a huge variety of characters, landmarks, different games, different features that is very similar to what happens in the latest game when it comes to the beginning, and some mixed parts where you could spell some mini games. And yeah, but anywho, I'm looking through the time. Let me actually see if I could cover a bunch of this. Oh yeah, they actually talk about the different versions and such. So I figured that since this is going to be the last article I'm going to read from Patrick, I figure I'd just take my time on this. Earlier this month, a surprising, complete early version of Duke Nukem Forever, the sequel to the groundbreaking Duke Nukem 3D that introduced a generation of the concept of interacting with a digital toilet that flushed, was released anonymously onto the internet. It's a game that looks hugely different from the one that would later ship more than a decade later to much fanfare but little acclaim, a testament to a well-documented development hell and endless process of rebooting both the game's design and technology. The game endured, which is very fascinating because of how there was supposed to be a Duke Nukem 3D mod years ago. Well, years ago, where I heard about it, that they were looking at releasing this version of Duke Nukem Forever, all the unused assets, missions, design, and such, for people to play in a playable state. I mean, what is it? That's also the case with many people trying to do that with Half-Life Alyx, where they're doing it in a Half-Life 2 or Black Mesa engine. I take it just 2, just for so many people just to play it. It's pretty cheap. It's also easier to make things in that source engine with that base game. But yeah, it looks like it was released in some fanfare, which is interesting because yeah, it's pretty much around 10 years old now, and people are bringing up it. And there's also some romanticization where it is good compared to the fanfare when it did released, forever released, which was, pun not intended, forever ago. I do not know where the leak came from, but I certainly have been having a great time strolling down memory lane, said designer Matt Wood, who worked as a designer, animator, and modeler on Duke Nukem Forever in the late 90s, including the version that recently leaked. So, the Duke Nukem Forever 2001 walkthrough. Now I should play the video since, yeah, it looks like he spent a good time just, putting this article together and the media sources and such. So yeah, have everything listed. The game design put out. Yeah, and people could just experience it. So what it does look like is it is the 1999 version, which is looking great. looking great with how fun it is. Back then, people might differ, but now it's pretty diverse. It's not like people are very, very picky in what type of game they play, especially playing the latest and greatest. People can just play different games with artistic versions set, different styles. You have Overwatch that's very colorful and stuff. People can play Call of Duty, which is pretty much brown, gritty, and such like that. And then people can also play other types. Hotline Miami, Papers, Please, Undertale. Different video games that are very diverse. Different, way different in how you play them. And that's pretty much great. So, I guess that's another reason why people really like playing these games now. So, I'm happy with that. Waypoint has spoken with 3 former members of the Duke Nukem Forever team, and nobody knew where the leak might have come from. The version that leaked does contain documentation pointing towards the computer of a former 3D Realms employee programmer Nick Schaffner, who didn't respond to a message sent by Waypoint on LinkedIn. Who responded to a message sent by Waypoint on LinkedIn. So he did. It could easily have just sat on that PC or archived on their network for years, giving anyone the opportunity to copy it and later leak it, said one former developer, who asked to remain anonymous because they did not want their speculation tied to their name. I wouldn't be surprised if that build sat unnoticed for years until someone at Gearbox, who purchased the rights to Duke Nukem Forever in 2010, stumbled upon it buried among a bunch of Duke Nukem Forever material they inherited. But that's a completely wild guess. I guess that also might be a thing years ago where people keep on saying that they want to have this material. Which makes me wonder who were the people who were interested and who it encompassed, who it influenced in the group. Gearbox Software Duke's current owners did not respond to requests for comment, but that hasn't stopped the former creative stockholders around Duke Nukem Forever from using the leak as an opportunity to timelessly reminisce and sling arrows over why and how Duke Nukem Forever went from one of the most anticipated games to a laughingstock. In a blog titled "The Truth About DNF," Scott Miller, co-founder of 3D Realms parent company Apology and Duke Nukem co-writer, said he didn't know where the leak came from. Miller warned that anyone expecting much of the playable game will be disappointed, though impressions by fans are fairly positive, and while incomplete, it's hardly unplayable. Especially with the build just not having many features. That's the whole point. The game was stuck in development hell because of feature creeping, not just because the game couldn't work. And also, something to point out is I really like the design of I hope Duke Nukem's not showing it friendly, but of this character, soldier character with black camel fatigues. It's a callback to the original Half-Life where the Marines, and they were a specific type of Marines that in Half-Life you actually fight against, or the woodland, was it M83 woodland pattern that is in black and white instead of its usual green and gray, because it would be easier for the modelers to render and for our players to spot. And it looks like they still kept this as a property, even though they probably didn't know about that they could go with regular uniforms, but who knows. A screenshot from a very old version of Duke Nukem Forever, image courtesy of Gearbox Publishing. Oh yeah. DNF is the game that destroyed 3D Realms and ended up getting the company sold to an investor in Denmark, where it's still based, said Muller. While our games like Max Payne and Prey was keeping the company afloat, DNF was a constant money pit for the company and eventually killed the original 3D Realms Apology. Rather pointed towards the team being chronically understaffed, a lack of development roadmap, and an obsession for new technology in a project that No. A little too much. It's a very sad story no matter how you look at it, said Miller. It brought 3D Realms into its knees. All their development, our development team left or was released, and the 3D Realms name is now owned by someone with no connection to our past. During Duke's heyday, Miller was connected to, at the hip with Apology and 3D Realms co-founder and Duke Nukem co-creator George Browser, who responded on Twitter to Miller's comments about Duke Nukem Forever by calling Miller's a no. Let me put in a voice. A clueless narcissist whose actions are what led to Gearbox Suits friction that led us losing 3DR and Duke IP. End quote. Miller hasn't responded to Bowser's nor a follow-up by Waypoint, though Apology continues to reference the leak on Twitter. Browser also did not respond to a request. Responded to a request for a comment. But for a gamer of a certain age, Duke Nukem Forever's troubled history was an obsession sparkled by a singular moment. A particular video game trailer from E3 2001, which this is the one that I've seen. I'm gonna full screen this bitch. And yeah, we see part of this. However, the intro was pretty nice. Them talking about this 10th anniversary, which when the game came out 2011, it was its 20th anniversary. And the popularity of it because of the leaked material and people playing it, it's its 30th anniversary. And that probably also shows how people have been keeping a track on that, especially the people who were really sympathetic and had in hand any good material for the game to share case to so many people, especially loyal fans who were pretty fond with celebrating one of the memorable game's 30th anniversary. The Las Vegas themed trailer promised to drop Duke into sprawling areas layered with new levels of environmental interactions, alongside screen-filling creatures and photorealistic visuals. It looked like a video game you could play in the near future, but the game that would eventually ship in a box that was named Duke Nukem Forever looks nothing like this. This was also the moment 3D Realms infamously adopted the "when it's done" mantra for the game's release date, a cheeky comment that would become a byword for criticism. Duke Nukem Forever, at least the version of the game that's in the 2001 E3 trailer, has haunted a generation of people who grew up playing Nukem 3D, said game critic Chris Franklin, who run the YouTube criticism channel Errant Signal. In some ways, I think there's echoes of PT, a teaser that was incredibly well received and generated tremendous hype, only for the final product to vanish. Leaving everyone to wonder what could have been. Yeah. It does show how the impressions of things can bring people to be fascinating, even if it's so big or so small, so well or so disastrous. I'm also realizing that I'm having some technical issues, so bear with me. I want to make sure that, because I'm gonna continue reading through this and even venture forth more of Duke Nukem, especially with other references, because that is something I'm interested in doing now. Looking at a surface investigation just to share case on something and for me to understand more about it. So that's something I'm going to be doing for the moment. So has a haunted generation of people who grew up playing Duke Nukem 3D. and talks about that, and then refer to this. But anywho, this is where I'm going to left off, and next time I'll jump into it. Further ado, aloha.